In 2004, the Jericho Forum was formed, and this was an early calling for the need for trust. They come up with a term called deperimeterization. Not so catchy these days, but this is when the zero trust sort of seed was planted back in 2004. The actual term zero trust was coined in 2010 by John Kindervag, who was basically a principal analyst at Forrester Research. And this is really the common term now. Zero trust has been used ever since. Zero trust basically kicks to the curb the old castle and moat mentality that organisations were very focused on defending their perimeters, while assuming everything already inside the perimeter was trusted. This has obviously evolved, and obviously the perimeter is now distributed, and that sort of model is no longer valid. Today, the security concept is centered on the belief that organizations should not automatically trust anything inside or outside its perimeter, and instead they must verify anything and everything trying to connect to its systems before granting access. Zero Trust today has been adopted by multiple vendors, Cisco being one of them. Cisco were at the Jericho Forum in 2004, and still continue to support this, as well as other vendors such as Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Google, Okta, just to name a few. Cisco have got their own architects, zero trust architect. Their approach to securing all access across your network, applications, and environment. They've broken it down into 3 segments. The first one being workforce, workplace, and workloads. Workforce is what we're addressing today with multi-factor authentication. Workplace is really securing the network, the corporate network, with software-defined access, and workloads is securing your applications in the multi-cloud environment, really sort of like anything running in your data centers, and that's using Cisco's tetration for that. So if we move on to sort of passwords, so why do we need MFA? As you know, on a daily occurrence now, we're seeing data breaches affecting millions and millions of users, and this is far too common. It's a daily occurrence. Breaches involve user data can vary from just email addresses, passwords, but even credit card details. All of these are being traded on the dark web, or just leaked into the public domain. Various services are available today to actually check and alert your email addresses and passwords used. And these sort of like, if any of your passwords or emails have come up in any breaches, you can check these with services provided by Google, Mozilla, or even have I been pawned. So these are trying to address the breaches that are occurring every day. From an IT perspective, these breaches, together with our increased attack surface and gaps in visibility, are all familiar security challenges. Password policies can be applied to strengthen security. However, the emphasis is still reliant on the user. The user manages their passwords, and although we can, as an IT support department, we can insist on complex passwords. You know, the use of that password is still reliant on the actual user itself. At best, it uses using unique and complex passwords for each and every application goes a long way to confining the effects of any breach. Today, we're still very much reliant on passwords. There's no getting away from it. But until we've got something that's more secure and something that really wants to replace it, we need to add an additional way to verify the user. We need to make sure they are who they say they are and not just acquire the password from somewhere else. Once we can verify that person, they are who they are, we can then form a trust and then give them access to applications that they require to do their job. with that, I'd like to just sort of like hand over to Phil Moore, just take you through the multi-factor authentication, or 2FA, as it's sometimes referred to, and give an introduction to that. Phil Moore, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Stuart and Laura. One approach to layered security and formation of the trust that Stuart was just speaking about that is becoming more popular is the use of multi-factor authentication, or known as MFA, or also 2FA. So this layered or tiered approach to security consists of multiple layers of authentication. Multi-factor authentication is used as a security mechanism that will require an individual to provide 2 or more credentials in order to authenticate their identity and prove who they are. So it is more secure than password, because even if an attacker learns, guesses, phishes a password credential, there is still another layer that they will need to go through before they can really gain any kind of access to your systems. The authentication factors in IT are generally expressed in the following categories. That would be knowledge, possession, inherence, time, and location. Today, we're going to look at 3 of those prevalent authentication categories of knowledge, possession, and inherence. Knowledge, or something that you know, would typically be your password. Pretty self-explanatory, is something that we all use on a day-to-day basis, but this is typically our first factor of authentication, of proving who we say we are. The other authentication factor that we're going to look at is possession, which is really something that you have, such as a mobile device or other device that you can use as a second layer of authentication. Finally, we'll also discuss inherence, or something that you are, such as your fingerprint or your face. So assuming we use a password as our first authentication method, which of the others is best for secondary authentication? In some circles, biometric data is often seen as the best method. How, you really can't forget your face, right? But recent studies have found that smartphone facial recognition technology can be fooled with photographs, and recordings have fooled voice recognition technology. So biometric data is susceptible to those vectors. Many applications will use SMS text messages as the secondary authentication method, but because mobile phones are relatively easy to hack, they are the least secure authentication method. So that would lead us on to authenticator applications, such as Cisco's Duo, which would utilize a phone or tablet to provide secondary authentication without the risks of SMS. So once you've enrolled into the program, the end user will download an app onto their device, and once they log in, they will receive a push notification in the app where they can approve or deny access. The Duo does have a wide range of authentication methods. It's very easy for a user to securely log in and start working. So the push method really is the preferred method with Duo. However, as I mentioned, there are other authentication methods that the user can go ahead and use as a second factor of authentication. I don't believe we discussed that Cisco is offering a 30-day trial. I believe, Laura, you have a slide on that, but I'll leave it to you to take us into that.
Perfect. Thank you, Phil Moore and Stuart. So yeah, like Phil Moore mentioned, we do have a trial on offer today. I'll just skip forward one. So yeah, 30 days, and it's so quick and easy to set up. It can literally take 10 minutes. All you need is just to click the link here. I'm going to share the slides after, and I'll also share the link to the trial after as well. So it's really quick. You just have to click the link, put in your details, and then download. I think there's an app that you download, and you get a QR code, and it literally takes 10 minutes, and you're up and running. But if you need any more information about that, I've also put the guys' contact details on screen, so that you can get in touch if there's any questions that you have, or if you would prefer to go for a wider rollout across the business first instead of just downloading the app yourself. But to go back one, we've had a few questions whilst we've been going through. So just go back to the Q&A part. So the first question is just for Stuart, actually. So if Duo is a Cisco product, so does it work with other applications, or is it just Cisco?
No, so Cisco acquired Duo a couple of years ago now, so they were totally independent of Cisco, but it's agnostic to the vendor. So if you wanted to secure VPN access as a hot topic at the moment, because everyone seems to be working from home, it doesn't matter what your VPN vendor is. You know, that could be Checkpoint, that could be Palo Alto, that could be Cisco. Duo will work with that VPN provider, and even if you've got, you know, cloud applications can all go in there. So things like Salesforce, Office 365, any accounting software pretty much is quite popular integration with Duo. So, you know, the actual there's a vast amount of applications that can actually be, that's already supported and automatically integrated with Duo. And if you've got some sort of like bespoke on-premises application, they've got open APIs, and I'm sure there's you know, maybe a little bit more work, but there'd be an integration that we can do using the API element of it. So yep, totally agnostic completely from Cisco. There is obviously integrations with Cisco, strong integrations with Cisco, as you'd expect, but it, you know, works on any for any vendor.
Fantastic. So just another one for Fillmore, actually. So if push notifications are the first choice for secure access, what is the next best backup option?
The next best option would be to do a time-based one-time password. It's very flexible, it's easy to access, and that would really be your second choice if push notification wasn't available.
Perfect, thank you. And then we've just had one last question. Is there a case study available from Natilic around Duo? So yes, we do have one. I'm planning on sharing it after the session, where we actually case studied our own CTO, Adam Bonney. As always, we would never recommend a technology unless we'd implemented it or we had used it ourselves internally. And Adam goes into really great detail around how we found it to implement, and how we use it every day here at Natilic as well. So I will send everyone an email later with the recording of this session if there's anyone that you want to show, and a link to that case study as well, so you can have a look through and kind of get Adam's opinion as a CTO, how he found it to deploy himself. But yeah, thank you very much everyone for joining today. I appreciate it's been a short but sweet session. So we hope that you enjoy the rest of your day, and please do keep in touch. If you have any questions, you can contact us at hello@natilic.com, or I will share the contact details of our two panelists today so that you can speak to them if you've got any questions you'd like to ask directly. But thank you very much to Stuart and Fillmore for their time today, and thank you to everyone who has attended.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Bye now.